KCM fans, finally, we are back. It's been slightly delayed, but here we are with the semifinals. Terran versus Protoss. Talk about that in a minute. Jumping into this first game, we've got Royal spawning over here at the bottom right. Let me bring up this lineup quickly. Tyson is spawning in the top right. So how did we end up here? How did we end up with a Terran versus Protoss semifinal? We're not 100% sure. There have been no announcements by KCM. I actually tried to contact him directly to ask about this. I haven't gotten a message back from him. I also talked to a friend of mine, Alex, who I was hoping might be able to do some translation. If anyone out there speaks Korean and still watches this show, please reach out on Discord. Let me know. I'd love to hear from you and work with you to find out exactly what's gone on behind the scenes. But we have a couple of theories, don't we, Shun?
Yeah, we do. I mean, my guess would be that they had some kind of internal 1v1 to resolve this decision and then go from there, or they did it based on previous season rankings. So, like, you know, Zerg had more wins overall than the other race, Terran, so they gave it to them by default because of like an aggregate of score over the seasons.
That is entirely possible. I was thinking it might be something like the record of matches this season between Zerg and Terran, who ended up winning more matches between the two of them. Might have gotten that final spot, but we're not sure on that. We'll have to get back to you if end up getting that information. Jumping into this series, though, Terran versus Protoss. This Protoss lineup is looking a bit funky. YSC Tyson was not who I was expecting to see. And, you know, Snow, the big one missing out of this lineup. I'm surprised not to have him in a TVP semifinal.
Yeah, definitely an interesting lineup. These guys have been pulling their weight more than has been expected in previous seasons, so maybe they're, you know, playing their A game right now and want their time to shine. We see a Nexus first coming out from Tyson here, wanting to charge up his punching power for later on. But with the fast scout from Royal on this vertical axis, getting this early scout, seeing just a single gateway, maybe he's thinking about pulling the boys and trying to punish this, although it is quite a long rush distance here on this map Pantheon.
Quite a long rush distance indeed. Royal gonna pull most of those SCVs out of gas, but hasn't pulled the boys just yet. What's the latest time that you can pull the boys here, Shun? Is it is it impossible to do after this point, or are we still waiting on this?
No, you can still do this. Yeah, it's just like the longer you leave it, the worse it is. He could pull the boys any moment now and still have a good chance at doing some damage here, but it has to be fairly soon.
He could try to build a fake bunker and just, you know, make it look like he's pulling all the SCVs and maybe force some sort of reaction. But it seems like he just wants to go for 1 or 2 probes, perhaps. Kind of deal a little bit of damage here in the natural, but the probes are just going to go back to the main, potentially. And Dragoons are going to start to come out. No Zealot, man. That's crazy. Oh, he's going to pull the boys now. Holy, this is late.
Yeah, the more modern approach is to like kind of punish in the natural expansion by denying some mining time with like a poking of like a couple of Marines and an SEV, and then the follow-up is the pulling of the boys like this. This is almost about as late as you can do it while still getting away with it. Oh, there's Zealot though, getting some punches on these Marines. Mike Tyson already swinging now, 2 kills on that Zealot and running away, so buying some more time now as the Vulture is going to eventually clean this up though. Now a lot of pressure coming Tyson's way. He's got 2 Dragoons popping out in the nick of time though, but no pylon here to build a shield battery, so he has to somehow stop this bunker going up.
Well, with the 2 Dragoons, he can deal a lot of damage to these early Marines, and just running by the bunker is definitely an option. Getting right on top of this, I don't think this is going to work at all. Royal has really messed this up by allowing the Zealot to do so much early damage. He just doesn't have the DPS to deal with these 2 Dragoons.
Yeah, he's almost pulled the perfect amount of probes as well. It's not like he's pulling every single probe off the line right now. There's like 1, I think, left to mine at least, so pretty well calculated from him. Bunker has finished up, desperately trying to repair this Vulture, but he will eventually get the kill on that. 2 Dragoons does out repair for SCVs when it's a unit, not a building, so does eventually get the kill on that. Now though, this bunker and SCVs are going to be cleaned up nicely by Tyson. That definitely puts Tyson into a very comfortable game going forward. Like, Royal kind of needs the stars to align to somehow find stabilization in this game state.
Gotta say, Royal not looking good, not coming out looking spotless after that attempted rush, man. There's gonna be some players throwing some shade his way, I'm sure of that, in the comments, and also probably in his team chat after this game. What was happening with those Marines? He just allowed them to get killed by the Vulture without really microing at all, and now he's in such a bad situation against someone he really should be able to dominate. He is very close to losing this game, and with 4 Dragoons coming forward, instant snipe on that tank. This is almost over. We're done. There's nothing left to do here. He's just gonna run straight forward, kill all the vultures, kill all the mines, and yeah, what are you gonna do?
I mean, this is a textbook cleanup from Tyson. He's really going through the motions. The only mistake Tyson's made is he's allowed these goons to be drilled a little bit by the SCVs, but other than that, it's been almost flawless. Oh, pretty good mine connection, though. He will eventually clean up some of these Dragoons. Tyson not really paying attention right now. Does manage to slip a few of them out of the net, but still pretty low on HP on 2 of these Dragoons now. Maybe these SCVs can catch 2 of them. Oh, pretty good catch there. He's doing a pretty good job there of just throwing the net around these Dragoons over and over again and cleaning them up. He's technically still alive, but honestly, it's 25 supply to 44. Like, Royal's pretty much lost this game at this point. He's just trying to save a bit of face by not losing 2 absolutely.
I think the only way of saving face here is you just tap out, because there's no way you're winning this game. Targeting the wrong Dragoon there as well. He's just barely going to get that second kill, but the tank will fall. That CC is never going to come up. Just the 2 Dragoon rally across the map, enough to end Royal. What a shocking first game here, Shun. This is not what I expected at all.
Not at all.
KCM's face says it all. Look at that.
Just agape. Oh man.
Did we bring the wrong person up? Was that really Royal?
Someone else was playing his account. He gave the account to his brother to play or something. I don't know.
It's like looking into a mirror, Shun. That is my face exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. He looks how I feel, man. Oh god.
Oh gosh. Let's hope that we can get a better one. Game number 2. Let's go. After all the insanity we've seen this season in KCM, watching a performance like that is like standing at the fairgrounds on 4th of July and expecting fireworks, and all there is a wet fart. That was sad.
Yeah. I mean, this is a little bit of a weird start to this series, to say the least. A bit of a royal cock-up, if you will. But hopefully we can get back on track. Speed, a very strong player. He's been impressing us recently with his ability to control units and force so many interactions that the other player kind of crumbles under the pressure. Their spinal column just can't handle the weight, and it buckles under the sheer determination of this up-and-coming Terran.
I've been casting so many games of Speed on my channel. It's becoming almost a meme. This guy is grinding out games like nobody else. Seems like he might need some practice partners, actually. Most professional players are going to be spending most of their time, the majority of their time, playing in custom matches so that they can keep kind of a little bit of a secret, keep some of their secrets hidden, some of their builds a little bit hidden, and you know, their style from being completely analyzed and just torn apart. But Speed is the type of player, he just loves to play on ladder, or he just doesn't have those connections yet, but he has been grinding like crazy and improving by leaps and bounds in both this matchup and TVZ as well. And I'm loving watching his games, and I can't wait to see how he performs here against Tyson.
Absolutely, saying astute observation as always. And he did go for 11 gas this game, so definitely more of an aggressive style. We see that out of players like Sharp as well. Getting that Vulture a few seconds early does allow you to sometimes come in and punish a 12 Nexus as well, getting onto that probe line just before the Dragoons come out to save the day. So sometimes giving yourself that offensive option with the 11 gas is a nice way of playing.
Absolutely. Getting the quick Vulture out for speed. This is the way that he plays most of his games, and I think this is the style where he shines the most as well. I don't like to see him go for an early CC, try to go like gasless or something like that. This guy really excels when he gets those early units out and he can start to play around with the vultures.
Yeah, it even makes me think that he should be like always trying to body block on the ramp to stop gas steals on 2-player maps as well, and really get that gas timing to make the most out of it, because it so suits his play style.
Oh, it's funny. It's funny you say that. He actually does do that a lot in ladder matches. That is really funny that you say that. That's exactly the style that he goes for. And yeah,
he should.
Very good analysis there, Shun. This is that type of player for sure. Speed. He is the type of player who puts you in your place. He wants you to play by his beat and not to sit back and just kind of get comfortable. That's not where he excels.
He's definitely the kind of player that needs to be in the driver's seat.
Absolutely, and he's going to, with this Marine wall, threaten a potential strong FD push while getting this command center behind it. He's not going to allow Tyson to see that command center, so Tyson's not really sure what kind of push he's dealing with. He just sees a bunch of Marines and a tank, and he has to respect it.
Yeah, he might, as an amateur Protoss player might over-respond to this and make a shield battery, but I think Tyson should be able to figure out this is like just a bit of pressure here, so he's going to skirmish with the Marines, doing a pretty good job thus far. He hasn't really he's kind of calling Speed's bluff a little bit, and also gets in with the probe to confirm the CC timing and what's going on in the main base. So yeah, Tyson wasn't thrown off at all there. He had a good read on what Speed was up to.
Follow-up from Tyson is going to be a DT play. Oh my gosh, eating that mine is really bad for Tyson. Speed is going to pull back over here into his natural, but there's a vulture behind these dragoons. What are the chances that this mine ends up finding it's a good connection on these dragoons as they retreat? Tyson just gonna send a dragoon back, try to eat whatever mine's coming, hope that he doesn't take a whole bunch of damage, but there's the vulture slipping by into the main. Great micro so far getting that kill, and he's going to get at least 2 or 3 more kills here after sending his mines. This is an amazing vulture.
Yeah, this is a king vulture. Like, not only did it pay for itself by killing a couple of probes, it scouted the tech of the DT here. So now this shouldn't be too frustrating for Speed to cope with. He knows exactly what the intentions of Tyson are. He wanted to like kind of go for a fast arbiter timing after putting on a bit of pressure with some DTs. Probably won't be transpiring quite the same way anymore. Might just have to go into straight 2-base arbiter tech and just play straight up from there and hope for like 11-minute stasis. But he still looks like he's going to go for it, but I'm not sure it's going to do anything like it would do before.
Absolutely not. There's going to be a ton of vultures, a ton of mines in the front, and of course turrets to go ahead and reveal those DTs as they try to come in. Looks like he's going to walk right into that first mine. And so he's already taken half the damage that it takes to kill one of these DTs. And he's not even made his way into the natural yet. This is kind of dead in the water. And this also tells Speed that there's not going to be early observers. So these vultures can be absolutely deadly if they get their mines in good positions.
Yeah, and a pretty good positioning of these dragoons will at least ward away more vulture harass for the time being. But yeah, it's a real big shame that he couldn't get in there and do anything with these DTs now. There might be a shuttle that's made as a follow-up with these DTs to put on a little bit of additional pressure, but usually not. Usually you identify that there's just no way you're going to get much value with these after it's been scouted. So we may not even see the shuttle being made here, at least not until it's time to start Zealot bombing. We see the 4th factory coming right out of Speed. You might get the cancel. Oh, that's a pretty good mine drag. That's not terrible. I mean, it's not the greatest either, but it's certainly better than just dying for free.
Absolutely. Better than dying for free. It's the best he can do in this situation. Both the DTs are dead now, and Speed is open to potentially moving out. He could push with this, with these tanks. If he has armory finishing up, and he brings an SCV with him, it's possible that he could, you know, build turrets. There's a lot of buildable terrain on this map, up on the high ground along that ridge. If he gets into that position and sets up turrets there, could be a very difficult situation for Tyson to try and break out of. He's going to distract with the vultures into the natural right as he's coming out with this push. Oh, the tank goes to the wrong side though. Oh, that's huge. He loses a tank there for free.
Yeah, now he's on a low to high ground transition. He has to pull back at least a little bit and then re-engage like he's doing now. Pretty good setup. Now maybe he can fight this back with the screening of the SCVs and vultures helping out these 4 tanks. Will eventually force Tyson back. But yeah, that was a little bit scary there for Speed for a moment with that mishap of going down the wrong lane. He needs to be very careful he doesn't just throw the game like that. We definitely don't want to repeat what happened to Royal in game number 1.
That could have gone incredibly well for Speed. It also could have gone even worse, but that was a rough engagement. Just not getting the 8-click as he's moving those and microing those vultures. He had his tank split up. Now he's getting up onto this high ground. There are Dragoons behind this though. Is it going to be a full counter attack from Tyson as this army makes its way into his natural? Maybe no. These Dragoons are actually going to come back and walk right into these mines. Okay, Dragoons, one of them goes down. The mines have pretty much all been cleared. The Dragoons are going to come from behind. There's the scan. Can he actually kill it? No, the mine goes off and these tanks are completely dead. Wow, this has gone about as bad as it could for Speed.
Yeah, this is throwing everything against the wall, hoping that it sticks, but instead of sticking, it just goes splat, saying this is not ideal, to say the least. 61's applied to 91. Arbiter Tech is now online and operational. We'll be seeing those joining the field soon in a moment here when he's got enough gas to make one. This is getting crazy. Like, I can't believe Speed managed to put himself into such a bad situation now. Tyson's done a great job of just, like, bobbing and weaving and, like, always positioning his Dragoons perfectly and circumnavigating the issue. And not ever dealing with the threat head on, and instead like dealing with it like a real Protoss does, and just like kind of like threads the needle at the right point and like kind of like runs around them and doing like ring around the rosy until you can get a good surround and flank on them. And Speed's just played right into his hands. I don't know why he's miscalculated this position so much. I'm surprised he's being so aggressive when he knows that it's 2-base tech.
Yeah, that is a little bit confusing for sure. 2-base tech gives the Protoss a really big power spike around this time. Your tech's just coming online and you're not moving into a quick 3rd base by any means. You're kind of delaying that economy. You have to delay somewhere, right? You can't get everything all at the same time. So the macro or the expansion has definitely been delayed by a lot. However, Speed's expansion is going to be delayed by even more. We're passing the 11-minute mark, and I just don't see a way that he can move out and take that, especially with Arbiter Tech coming online here soon.
Yeah, it's going to get awkward for sure, and he's kind of gone for a middle road build as well with these 4 factories. He doesn't quite have the muscle to just move out onto the map at his leisure. He's now adding on the 5th factory and what have you, but it's a little bit too late at the moment. He's catching some probes on the transfer, though. This is the kind of thing that he needs to come back in the game. He kills some probes like this over and over again. It kills like say 5 or 6 probes here. That's pretty good. This is looking okay now for Speed. He's not too far out of the woods yet. He's still got a way to go, but this is the kind of journey that he needs to go on to come back in this game at least.
4th base likely to come down here soon. I think as soon as he finds that Speed is moving to take that 3rd base, 4th will be dropped immediately. Arbiter is out, but it's still got a little time before it has the energy to do anything. So engagement against this Terran army right now is not going to be the right call. Pretty decent mine there. Mine drag, excuse me, onto some of that army, but saved from the worst of it. Most of the vultures do live, and the tanks are in a good position now out between the 3rd and natural. It's still very breakable though, especially with Arbiter coming in. It's going to be hard to hold on. Now he needs to get the kill on the shuttle first. Oh, the mine connection. Oh, that mine connection was brutal. And this is way too many Dragoons and Zealots now getting on top of these tanks. Oh man, Shun.
This is brutal. This is like watching Best play or something. How is Tyson playing so good recently? He has been like Knockout Mike recently, just like absolutely bodying people. How is he playing so good?
I don't know, Shun. He has been showing some pretty commendable play. That's probably why the Protoss side actually putting their fate in his hands rather than some of these more well-known and well-respected Protoss players. Tyson coming out of his corner and just swinging on speed over and over. He's going to be able to break this high ground, take out all of these tanks, and all of the SCVs are going down. You can tell that Speed doesn't even believe it's happening. How is he being beaten by Tyson of all people right now?
Honestly, it's kind of weird. Like, Tyson's been playing out of his mind this game. Like, he's been like having Speed on speed dial and having his number just ready every single step of the way. It's kind of bizarre watching him just manhandle Speed like this.
And from a rough opener as well. It wasn't like he had the perfect tech for the situation. Speed saw everything. Right. And yet he still gets tapped. That is wild. Speed's been taken down first. Massive twist after massive twist in the opening parts of this semifinal. That is wild.
It's crazy saying. I'm kind of lost for words. I really need to see what's going to happen. We have got Sark and Light waiting in the wings and obviously the revive, but I'm sure KCM is feeling it as well. Like, he's wondering what is going on today.
Well, I don't think it's going to happen, but it bears mentioning the all-kill prize is now 3,500,000 won. Wouldn't that be insane if Tyson did an all-kill here? That would be wild.
Yeah.
But what needs to happen to get an all-kill in the semifinals is a little different than a regular week. You have to get 4 kills in a row. Yeah, if you're gonna start like Tyson has, you have to kill all 4 Terran players. Or if you are a redeemer, like if you are the last player on the Terran squad and you come back and kill 3 Protoss players, then you can get that all-kill prize. I'm not sure if those rules have changed recently, but that's how it is when I last had it translated, so I'm pretty sure that's what we're getting.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize about the revive and triple kill gives you either as well.
Not revive, not revive. If you get revived, you can't get the all-kill. Only if you're the last player on your squad. You haven't played yet, and then you play and you get 3 kills on the other team, then you can get it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. That's from a translation that I got more than a year ago, so it might have changed, but that's how it was back then.
Not subject to change, but it does make sense. Let's see what we've got in store for us today. I'm hoping someone can snag that prize. Come on, Tyson. Let's just punch all the way. You know you've got it in you.
I mean, who's gonna stop this guy? Is it going to be Sock?
Could be.
He's had some good performances lately, right? He had that one week where he went absolutely insane and just completely popped off. It could happen again. Maybe he's gonna make the comeback and, you know, get 4 kills in a row.
Yeah, he's done an end scout here, so he's actually going to scout pretty late, so won't see exactly what Tyson's gone for quite some time. We saw the cross scout from Tyson not be called by Sark right away. He assumed that it might have been an end scout of Tyson's as well, then correctly went the right way eventually. But Sark is very good at his early game defense, so I'm assume that he knows there's going to be a macro play no matter what, especially on this map. Retro, it's huge. Now that it's cross spawn, he's going to be feeling pretty happy that Tyson's going to be pretty happy that there's nothing that really can come his way early game. It's like nearly a 40-second rush distance cross map, I think. 38 seconds, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the biggest map, I believe, in the current map pool. For cross map on Radeon, you're looking at just a massive delay in any sort of early game rush, and that's why we see Sock getting his CC going and not trying to do anything fancy here. Tyson actually went double gateway, which is kind of funny. He managed to hold single gateway into gas earlier on in a worse position against Royal, but he's gone a little bit more safe in this game, getting that second gateway pretty early on. And he'll be looking to grab his third base really fast this game. He's already got his robo on the way. He's going to have observers out soon. And since he's seen kind of, for the most part, what Sock is up to, he's definitely going to want to get that very quick third base going.
In some ways, I kind of see Sark like the Terran version of Action. He's like a macro-orientated player, but he loves being aggressive. Like, he always tends to open up aggressive in some way, shape, or form, but he is a very strong macro player as well. So I'm curious to see more from him. He hasn't had as much stage time as of late. Interesting pylon. Is that spotter pylons, or is he going to put some tech up here? Looks like he wants to build some tech up here.
That is super interesting. I wonder what he's going to drop over in top right. He's already got the robo. So what could it possibly be? Is he going to hide a bunch of Reaver tech, or is he going to hide a bunch of DT tech over in this
Citadel.
corner?
Yeah, it's one of the other. It's either hide the support bay or hide the Citadel up here.
I think it's going to be a DT play, but let's find out.
Oh my god.
Carrier. Two-base carrier.
I was thinking in my head, there's like a 1% chance that it's like some crazy Stargate play. But I was like, nah, no way is he actually going to do that. But he actually is doing that. That's crazy. But look at this scout. Is he actually going to scout it? Sark is sending an SUV here, but he might not actually check the deep corner.
Hello?
What is going on right now? Why is SUV just chilling there? What's happening?
Are
we in the Matrix?
Is he about to build a starport? Is he gonna build a
starport? He's saying this is crazy. Okay, no.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. What is happening?
I have no idea, Shun. I have no idea. Why would you ever leave your SCV up there? I guess he's waiting for some Dragoons to move out so that he can get a scout in the main. It's just such an awkward position to put your SCV. I can't believe he moved it all the way up there and just pixels away from that turned it around.
That's crazy.
That is insanity.
Yeah.
This guy
Two
putting
hex
us,
tiles over and he sees it.
keeping us at the edge of our seat. Yeah, he'll probably lose his mind when he watches this replay. The fact that he was that close to spotting it. That would have made a massive difference in this game, right, guys? Just push over there. Go ahead and kill those buildings, and there's really not a whole lot that he can do about it. There's some counterattacking that he could do. He could try to make use of that as a distraction, but the surprise is gone, right? The whole point of having it over here is that it's going to be a surprise for Sock, but that would have been...
Can I just say what's really interesting is that this spotter pylon really sells it, because now he knows that there's even less chance of being a proxy up there, because the spotter pylon is useless. Like, these buildings spot for him, you know what I mean? So like, this is just a fake spotter pylons. This is genius from Tyson.
Yeah, I was thinking about the spotter pylon, what the purpose of that was, but it really did seem to throw off Sock. Now, he still has to deal with this counterattack, which is gonna get very scary. Bunch of Dragoons coming out. He's gonna pull all the probes.
He's countering.
He's countering, yeah. He's getting over here into the natural. He's gonna kill this bunker. Marine will go down. There's nothing on the high ground. His Dragoons are gonna come out. He's gonna lose this Nexus for sure, but he has carriers on the way. And even if he loses that Nexus, I think he's gonna be fine as long as he kills a bunch of SCVs. This is getting really
money
weird.
in the bank, look. He's almost got 2 carries on the way already. He's got 2 carries on the way. It's kind of a weird game. Like, if he can somehow do a lot of damage with these Dragoons on the front, really disrupt mining in one of these bases for Sark, and he won't necessarily have much to deal with the carrier follow-up. He might just get bled away slowly but surely by death by 1,000 cuts from the interceptors. It's possible.
A scout!
He's making a scout! This is genius! Because there's no anti-A. There's only 3 Marines here. They haven't got enough HP and DPS to kill a scout, especially if they've already been tagged a little bit. So this is very interesting, because now it kind of puts a timer on this army, as well as eventually having a carrier transition. This is really interesting play from Tyson. I've never seen anything like this for maybe 10 or so years.
This is really wild. We must have carriers on the way, though. He's lost a ton of pylons, and so he's really struggling. Oh my gosh, he's gonna lose the scout to the Marines. Oh no, the scout could have definitely beaten the Marines and then just sat here here and killed everything, but GG is called. That turret is going to help out a lot. Wow. What is this?
What a wild game. We had scouts being made. We had scouts being made. It's just, what is happening? What is happening? It's almost like the writers hear what we say each week about, oh, like, you know, KCM, like, you never know what's going to happen. No, what is this?
What is this? All right, let's get into our next game. Set 4 is going to send out Motive here on Dominator. I am not really sure what to say here, Shun. This is gone into the realm of clown world. We're not living in the real world anymore. This is an AI generated absolute mess. Like, not AI 2025. This is like AI, you know, 2020, back when it was complete dog shit, didn't make any sense at all.
I have to give like my commendations to the Trump administration. He's only been in office for one day and he's already created the Matrix and put us into a whole different kind of reality. So yeah, really quick presidency from him.
Operation Stargate is a complete success, it seems. We're already living inside of it.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's true though. Like, if it is a success, then it doesn't matter like when it was made. Like, it now exists forever. We were always in that Matrix. We were always in Project Stargate from the start.
It makes sense in some way, shape, or form, I'm sure. We've got Motive not going to open with a Nexus first. Seems like he wants to play a little bit more conservatively, and we'll see if Sock wants to get... No, he's actually going to get the gas. I thought he might go for a gasless fast expand. It's a little bit popular on this map, don't you think?
Yeah, I'm just happy he's not probe rushing him. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just waiting for the next crazy thing to happen.
Oh. I mean, something that just never works ever. Someone pull that out. I think that these guys are still working with some pretty interesting ideas. Like that last game, it made sense what he was up to. It just was completely out of left field, right? It's like,
right.
Where did you get this build from? 10 years ago, 15 years ago? It just was completely unexpected for the time and place.
I mean, the game theory was there. He just lacked execution. If only he had better control and, like, you know, hunted down those Marines with the scout and got on top of the SEVs trying to build turrets. Like, the game's a little bit different. You know, it could have looked a little bit different for some good execution there, unfortunately. Hopefully we see a more normal game this time. I need some kind of grounding, okay? Let's anchor ourselves in base reality just for a moment before getting too crazy with the simulation theory stuff.
Yeah, I think that was the problem. He needed more scouts. Didn't build enough scouts that game. Would have been better if there was like 2 or 3 hunting down those Marines and SCVs. I'm kidding, of course, but... Motive. What are the chances we see him build a scout this game? Is it 1 in 10 million or 1 in a trillion?
He's not building a scout this game. There's no way he would risk looking like that much of a buffoon. You know what I mean? Like, it's something you pull out like once every 10 years. It's not something you pull out like in the following game.
He's just like, hey, Tyson, let me show you how it's done, buddy. I'm gonna pull out this build that you failed with, and I'm gonna make it work.
That would take a lot of balls. If he somehow did that and pulled it off, I would be standing up with an ovation, for sure.
We'll see if that comes to pass. Sock loses one of his first Marines, doesn't put any hit point damage onto this Dragoon, and Motive is just going to be happy with that. He at least took a little bit of a toll there because Sock hasn't had to build an early bunker, and so he gets away with a little bit of greed in this early game. Got to punish him slightly for that.
That's one of the main mini games of this matchup is like, you know, when are you building this bunker? Can you get away with not making it at all, or at least making it a little bit delayed to kind of min-max and squeeze out your build and get the most out of the orange as you can without too much effort. But most of the time players tend to hesitate walking that tightrope too finely, right? They want to, like, you know, make the bunker a little bit earlier than they need it just because they don't want to risk like throwing the game just because they were so greedy that they had to like time everything out frame perfectly like Flash and couldn't quite execute.
Yeah, that can lead to some embarrassing results for sure. You don't want to look like you can either look like an absolute legend innovator, or you can look like a complete fool. And
Right.
it's just maybe one misclick away between the two, right?
That's what's so crazy about this game, Sam, and that's why we lose our minds to watching these guys play, and why we were so obsessed with Flash back in the day, because that was his style of play, was like really like living life on the edge just for the sake of having crazy build orders and insane timings that people couldn't deal with.
Being so incredibly well thought out and getting absolutely every little bit of value out of each unit. Ooh, loses that dragon. Nice job.
Yeah, this is a great pressure from Sark. He's like denying the timing of this third and also shaving off some of the infantry power of Motive. Definitely makes Motive feel a little bit uncomfortable in this game. It's not like he's going 3-gate robo here. He's only on 2-gate, so it's a little bit middle of the road for Motive. So having 1 or 2 Dragoons less than you should makes you a bit more paranoid when it comes to like worrying about Vulture drop and things like that.
Absolutely. If you guys don't know, the Vulture doesn't do very much damage to the hull of the Dragoon. Does something like half damage, only 10 per hit. Plus there's an armor on that as well, on the Dragoon as well, but it does full damage, 20 per hit to its shields. So shaving off those shields right before the mine connection allows the single mine to actually kill a Dragoon, and he did that very, very well, getting right on top of that Dragoon and forcing it to dance, not allowing it to get back fast enough to avoid that mine hit. A lot of little interactions so far in the early game, not adding up to a whole lot, but this is massive. Just a wide open door for Motive. I can't believe he made this mistake. This is such a just a standard Protoss error, allowing 4 vultures into his main to kill so many probes. This is brutal.
Oh, it's absolute devastation. It's like 13 or 14 probes have died, I think. It's ridiculous the amount of damage that's been done.
This is not one of those things we were talking about earlier. This is not one of those like tightrope things where, oh, he's just barely gonna have a Dragoon, or he's gonna have just barely that bunker in time to hold on, and so he's min-maxing his build. No, this is just standard stuff. You have Dragoons coming out, you need to keep one in the wall so that vultures like that just don't come flying into your natural and kill everything, and he made that mistake. A classic Protoss mistake that... Oh, and he's falling apart now as well. He's embarrassed, you can tell. He's letting probes sit in his main base, not mining 3 of them when he's already low on probation. This is brutal.
Yeah, he took a very unnecessary gamble. This is the kind of thing where you do this on a ladder, you might not get punished that very game, but you keep playing like that, eventually your win record will take a big hit because it's just a big hole. It's one of your I's or T's that hasn't been dotted or crossed, and if you don't do that enough, then eventually you're going to get absolutely destroyed by some of these better guys, especially a player of Sark's caliber. He's very aggressive. He will find those timings not quite on the same level as maybe Sharp or Speed, but still on the same kind of ilk. Oh, look at this. Great baiting as well with the SCV and tanks to kind of like, you know, snipe 1 or 2 Dragoons here as well, thinning out the herd of an already weakened Protoss force.
It's good to see Sark try for things like that. He didn't see the natural, but he just went for it anyway to see if he could maybe get in there and deal some damage, and that's the type of stuff that we see players like Sharp and Speed do all the time. And look at this, he's gonna get by again. Come on, Motive. No way he's gonna let this happen for a second time. The Reavers are here, so he won't take too much damage, but still another couple more probes are gonna go down, and it's just too much. He's lost so many probes this game. Sark, if he doesn't make a huge mistake with his push out or really mess something up or take a massive amount of damage to these Reavers, he is going to bowl Motive over.
Yeah, these 2 Reavers are pretty much his only lifeline in this game, and because they're distracted clearing up these vultures, they're not out on the field. Stop slowing down this push already. So look how much ground already Sark has covered. He's almost onto the 4th pizza slice already. Now finally there's 2 Reavers here to unload and start to scarab shot these tanks You want to like try and get 2 tank shots and then run away, but he loses the shuttle now, so the Reavers are kind of dead in the water, being target fired down by Sark. There are some Dragoons sitting on top of these tanks now, but his utility is now completely vanished. There's no artillery units to utilize in dealing with the Terran, so Sark's feeling pretty confident about this trade still.
Yeah, that was a little rough for Sark. He lost a little bit, a few too many tanks in the end, I guess. The Dragoons might be able to clear this up, but it's still looking like a Sark victory overall. He's so far ahead in the curve of the game. Another snipe there on another tank, but these Dragoons are going to get lit up by the mines. This connection is massive, absolutely massive, and these tanks can start to hit the main, or they're just gonna go right up on top of this pizza slice. I thought he would set up on that high ground and just start hitting gateways and stuff like that, but he's actually just gonna push right in, rallying everything forward and just trying to end this game right here, right now. Sark is on the front door, knocking, and I don't think Motive is ready to answer this shuttle flying out. That was probably his last hurrah. If he had kept that shuttle alive, maybe he could have dropped some zealots on top of these tanks, but now he's got nothing. He's losing all his probes over here at the third, and just doesn't have any forces to deal with. He's gonna try to run Dragoons to this tight little choke with 4 tanks raining down. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, Motive tried to sally out from the city gates after they got battering rammed down, but unfortunately already losing most of his defenders now. There's not much left over to keep fighting in this siege. He's evacuating his natural expansion. The third is completely wiped out. There is a 4th base that isn't mining, but it doesn't matter now. 70 supplied to 100. Sark has done it, I think. He's completely strangling Motive out of this game.
That is for sure. This is a super straightforward push. After all the early game damage that he managed to deal, Motive cannot handle the follow-up. GG is called. Sark with 2 wins in the pocket, on his way to an all-kill prize. Let's see if he can make it work. Up next is Best, the King of the Apes. Man who may be able to shut down Sark and put Protoss back on the right path. The Leroy Jenkins of Protoss. This guy just loves to send it. Does it like nobody else. And we're here on Minstrel, which is an interesting map to say the least. This is one of my favorite 2-player maps, honestly, Sean.
Yeah, I've just got Welcome to the Jungle playing in my head right now.
Well, this is a jungle tile set map, and so Best should feel right at home. Sending that probe across the map to steal the gas. Will Sark block on the ramp, or is he going to end up playing a gasless fast expand? I don't see any movement here so far, and I think he's going to get away with it. I think that Best is going to be able to steal this, no problem. It's
he sends it now. He can block.
Perfect situation for a steal, a gas steal here with the gas facing towards the ramp. You're just not going to be able to get there in time. The moment you see that probe, it's too late.
Yeah, you see there's more than 100 minerals for Best, and there's nowhere near 100 minerals for Sark. You would have to cancel an SCV building to have any chance at building the gas. Then you have to stop building the gas. It'd be very awkward and unoptimized way of playing. The way we've seen players like Speed address the situation is by body blocking with an SCV on the ramp, and then buying a few precious seconds to quickly mine that 100 minerals for sort of 11-12 gas timing anyway.
Absolutely. Speed. I actually like Speed's way of doing it. I think the best.
I do too.
I think it's
I really like it.
It's tough to execute for sure, to get the SCV at the perfect spot to just block, but if you practice it a few times and you know this map, like you know it's probably going to be this position where they steal the gas, right? You kind of know that it's going to be like they could go into your main in top left and then go around your base and up into the top right hand corner and then quickly, you know, go for the gas and try to steal it. But it's mostly going to be on the bottom side, and if you just get used to the exact placement of where you want to put that, you should be able to figure it out. You should be able to make it in time to block that. But here, we've got a Nexus first. Sark just going to throw down his CC. with his block gas, this is the best he can do. He can't really pull the boys and try to punish Best in this case. He is going to send one Marine, try to push the probes off the line, but that's pretty much all he's going to get done with this early aggression.
Yeah, but we do see this happen a lot, though. It does buy some precious seconds of lost mining time sometimes. It's better when there's a healthier SCV and a second Marine shortly following up, but this is still pretty good. Like, he should be able to force a little bit of lost mining time here, maybe even a kill on a probe if there's a mistake from Best, but there is going to be a Zealot finally coming out to push this out. Sometimes you can get a cheeky probe kill if your timing's good enough, if the SCV helps out. But in this case, just a few seconds of lost mining time, nothing too crazy. One of the best scenarios for Best going forward here.
It's not too bad for Sock either. He's got that CC coming quite early. He has his gas now, going to be able to start his factory. And it's just the problem is that you're allowing Best to completely control the pace, right? He's just right. Got his own game plan and he's able to execute it, while Sock just kind of has to react to what's going on from Best.
Yeah, you're kind of compensating a little bit economically, like you're catching up in the curve ever so slightly, but not enough to contend with the Protoss and set the pace. You're playing much more reactionary, just macro up still, and you haven't actually caught fully up to the economic curve of the Protoss. You're just not falling too far behind.
I thought that we might see Sock throw down a starport to try and make up for whatever deficit he may be in at this point, but instead, a second factory on the way, a much more standard play. Has this barracks in the wall to make sure that it's not preferable to try and run by. It's not very tempting for Best to try and run by this bunker. But with 3 Zealots, what are the chances he just goes for this? He sent them all to the front. A third factory on the way is interesting. Sock gonna go 3 factory. This is a very modern style. What is this over here? An engineering bay block over on that third base. I think Best's probably gonna run by this. Is he not? No, he's not. I feel like he might have been tempted to do so with the engineering bay block and things just kind of getting frustrated on his side of the map. He might have tried to run by there, but that might have been a mistake. That barracks is just so well placed.
I think Best has a lot of respect for Sock. He knows that Sock is one of the better players at micro early on and defending things usually, so maybe he's just a little bit hesitant to make any unnecessary calls against him, and that's why he's being so passive with these Zealots right now. He just knows like how good of a player Sock is at the early game micro.
Yeah, you might barely be able to slip the Zealots by on the bottom side of the bunker before the SCVs can get to the ramp to block you. But if you have to go around the top side because the barracks is there, you're definitely, I don't think, gonna make it. Sock, competent defender, should be able to stop you from making a move like that. Best trying to get his third base on land. That's really the benefit of having the Nexus first build, is that you can get such a quick third base. He's been slowed down a little bit, but it seems like... Oh, wait, is this a Vulture gonna be... No, it's an SCV, okay. SCV sees that there's no third Nexus yet, and he starts another engineering bay, gonna delay that.
Wow.
Whereas Best is building into some Reavers back at home.
Yeah, this is kind of wild. I mean, you don't usually see Best hiccups this much in terms of his expansion timing. This is a little bit unusual, and I wonder if it will really slow down the engine of Best enough that he won't have the same kind of crippling power as he does usually, swing those big gorilla arms in the mid-game phase and just crush Terran positions like they don't even exist. We might not see that kind of same potency from him just because of how slow this third base. I mean, he's gone for a very fast opener with the Nexus, but now 7 minutes for a third base. Really slow timing, and a Vulture run by coming in. A little bit of body blocking, but not enough. Now Vulture's getting into the main base as well as laying down mines on the low ground. This is going to get a little bit problematic. Vulture's actually coming back down. One Vulture goes into the main but gets cleared up, but the rest come back down to the natural expansion. Target fire down probes there instead.
Oh, this is so much probe damage. Sock has done an amazing job getting in here. Another Protoss player not setting up their wall properly. He just didn't have the pylon wall set. Can he deal some really impactful damage with this Reaver to kind of make up for it? Not very good hits so far. Just a few Marines getting killed. That's really nothing for Sock. He doesn't mind that loss at all. And he kills the Zealot as well. This missile turret coming up is key. Can it actually finish? Oh, it's just barely not going to finish there. Unfortunately, not going to finish that. And so the Reaver can continue to jump back and forth. There it is. It finished. It got one more shot off. Can he get this big Reaver hit? Big damage there. 4 SCVs go down. In a blaze of glory, this Reaver going to tuck itself in that corner and just be a bit annoying for a little longer. They'll have to get like a Marine or a Goliath out to deal with that. There's the Goliath. So can start to deal with that. One last shot. Can he get the big Reaver hit? No, there's nothing he can do with that. Immediately gunned down. And this harassment is over. Was that enough, Shun?
I mean, I don't think it was enough, but it was definitely pretty good compensation going forward, kind of making up for the delayed third base. I was going to say that the killing the Marines was actually good because it gives a little bit of sustain to the Reaver until the Goliath pops out, which is why I actually thought the first shot was acceptable for Best going forward. But he didn't quite get enough damage with those follow-up Scarabs. He kind of got like a very like middle-of-the-road kind of value with that. It wasn't really the kind of high damage potential that we were looking for, but certainly a pretty good compensation to compensate for the late third. Only one Vulture gets in. Hopefully this doesn't get too much damage done. He's already sustained enough hiccups. Like any more would start to become a little bit problematic, but he's just barely taken an acceptable threshold of harassment where I think he's still going to be potent in this mid game.
I didn't think about that, going after the Marines to keep the shuttle alive. The Marines have no range and they seem to just tickle a shuttle as it's flying overhead. It is anti-air damage, I suppose. It's just really hard to get them to chase that down anyway. Wasn't able to get a huge amount of damage, and I really do feel like Sock is in firm control of this game. He's already going to be taking his third base just before 10 minutes, and continuing this harassment. He's just done way more damage than that Reaver could possibly do with those early Vultures. And Best, he's struggling a little bit, but he is getting his mining going over at that third. I just wonder if he's going to be able to crush through any of these positions that Sock has set up for him in the future.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I mean, Sock's main issue is just being able to take this third base. It's a little bit of an ask to kind of shuffle over and take this. Of how many lanes of access are available to Best? So many vectors of attack that can be used to make things annoying for Sock. We have a dropship coming out as well. If he can get a little bit of a sneaky dropship timing, getting maybe a tank and 2 Vultures could do a lot of damage at this third base or the main base of Best. I'm curious how this game is going to develop, because Best has all the tools to crush Sock in the coming minutes of the game. But honestly, like, Sock's getting this third base more or less for free. I don't think Best is going to challenge him. He's just prepared to slow down the push in the center.
Ooh, he almost gets that. He does move forward. Just snipe down that observer. He's really hidden his follow-up plan from Best. Best has no idea that he's taken this third base already. He's just chilling over this bridge, waiting with the Reaver, expecting a big push, but Sock is going to fall back on this third, and he's going to have an enormous macro engine, plus a drop coming in to potentially harass. This is looking quite good for Sock. Best losing those observers is really going to hurt him here if he doesn't realize what's going on.
Yeah, he's got 1 cannon, so he won't like completely lose his entire probe line for free, but this is a little bit annoying. He's got some Zealots streamlining here. He can just scoop up these Vultures and get them down to his 4th base instead or something. 3 shuttles, poor man Rico coming to the main base though. 3 turrets are almost about to be operational, but not enough to stop this. 1 shuttle does go down, but the 2 Reavers and Zealots have been fully unloaded. Lots of goons go splat for free when he's not paying attention though, so some compensation there. You can get a lot of these supply depots, and this armory in the bottom right is going to not only delay the upgrade timings, but also supply blocks are quite significantly.
This armory snipe is fantastic, but losing all of those Dragoons down over in center right, you could tell that he had no idea that that base had been taken, and was a complete shock that those tanks were up there set up and ready to fight. I can't believe how much damage this is actually. These 2 Reavers are still doing work over in this main base, and Even the SCVs being sent back a little too early. Some of them end up going down. Sock is taking way more damage than he should, considering he had 3 turrets in this area set up already and had some army ready to fight this as well. Kind of shocking. Best is getting into a better position now. Maybe with this 4th base already mining and getting into his macro in earnest, maybe he does stand a chance to break one of these bases.
I just hope that Sark made the 2nd weapon upgrade in his natural, not his main base, because if that was the cancellation of his 2nd attack upgrade, this is going to be a very difficult game for him to win. If he just lost his armor and he's got +2 weapons still, then it's actually a much more playable game state. It's just going to be really difficult if the weapons got cancelled and not the armor.
Very good point there. Such an important upgrade, that +2 attack. Make a massive difference. And look at these tanks, so stacked up, begging to be bombed by zealots. And Best has those bomber shuttles ready for this attack as well. This is a very nice setup with the supply depots, but on this high ground, this many tanks stacked on top of each other. Sock, what were you thinking? The storms coming through and just annihilating that massive group of tanks. More storms being layered onto these tanks on low ground. Best is crushing through, and I'm making me look like a fool for ever doubting him. Look at him just smashing this entire tank line.
I mean, even if they were set up better, somehow he's the only one that makes unbreakable Terran positions look breakable. I think he's given confidence to the entire Protoss race in dealing with Terran more and more. Like he's made unwinnable positions look winnable, and Sark just made it a little bit easy for him there, having all his tanks stacked up. I mean, a lot of Terran micro is in the wider control of your army and how you position your units. Well, Terran has one of the biggest advantages of being able to set up your units before the fight has even taken place. So you're in a way, you're like doing micro ahead of time. And unfortunately, he just was kind of being a bit lazy and just like, you know, assumed that the position wouldn't be attacked into so quickly like that.
With Best taking the torch, the chances of an all-kill prize, the hopes of an all-kill prize this week have been snuffed out. Best is going up against Light now on Kickback. I recently banned this map from the ladder pool. I'm not a big fan anymore. I was kind of interested in it. I thought it was a fun map, and maybe it's still fun for you know, viewing pro games, but it's got some quirks to it that I'm not a huge fan of. How about you, Shun?
Yeah, I mean, I like that the map makers are experimenting with ideas like this, but unfortunately this is the kind of map that does create for quite significant imbalances. It can't be avoided, unfortunately. I think that this map will have to disappear, but I do like the idea, and it's something that should be experimented with more. Hopefully we can find a map similar to this that is a little bit more balanced. I would just like to say though, like, I've been really impressed with the play of these lower B teamer type players, you know, like Tyson, YCMO, have really been pulling their weight these previous seasons, and I'm happy they're getting their time to shine right now. And this could be the light at the end of the tunnel that they need to go all the way and get a Protoss victory on the board.
They take out Light here. There's only one revive for Terran. I imagine they'd probably bring Light back, or maybe Sock after you manage to take out 2 Protoss players. He might be awarded that revive, but it's looking a little bleak for Terran, who were tied for first place with Zerg before this semi-final. It would be a bitter pill to swallow,
yeah,
if they went out in the semi-finals like this.
I think Light is like the daddy for the Terran race, though. You know, he's not necessarily the best player. He's like a little bit slower because he's old and grizzled, but he has got some of the most invaluable experience out of all of the players, and the wealth of knowledge can't be denied. So having him as like Papa Bear waiting for the end to kind of come home and save the day might just be what they need.
I think that's a good characterization. Daddy Light here is going to carry his children over the finish line, perhaps where the others have failed. He may be able to succeed. He's scouted bottom right. He's going to go for the end scout, realizing that Probe probably came from top left. He's gonna go over to see what he can see in this main, and Best is not getting super greedy or anything like that. He is going to be getting into some Dragoons and has range on the way. We've seen a lot of different players experiment with skipping range, but it seems to be more fashionable right now to go into range a little bit earlier on.
Yeah, I wonder if that's because of how aggressive Terrans are being, that you just want to have that range super early so you can volley back whatever kind of strong FD or whatever it is that's coming your way a little bit earlier on, rather than risking being too greedy and then getting punished heavily for it.
I think that was the original idea behind getting Dragoon range in the first place, right? Was just to have those potent all-around units early on to deal with anything that Terran can throw at you.
Usually it was for the Protoss player to be more aggressive though, because you had like say like 10-12 gate to like break down the wall of the Terran player when they were playing one base openings, and so it was more aggressively initially, but eventually Terrans got better at controlling their units and being aggressive earlier on, that it became the kind of more defensive way of dealing with their push timings.
That vulture
having a little sneeze.
Yeah, that vulture. Jeez. Just barely managing to escape. 5 HP on that. I wonder if he doesn't have an SCV on the map to meet up and repair. Ooh, Citadel on the way. Best is gonna get cheeky, try to get some DTs going, but the potential vulture drop coming in. There's a starport out already. Oh, it's a DT drop. Look at that, Shun. Very hard this game. Best is gonna try and get some massive damage.
Well, Best has got like 1 or 2 ways of playing. He kind of plays like really hard macro style and like does the bowl over like we saw in the last game, or he does these kind of like cheeky 2-base. Always trying to get on top of this tank. The land from the barracks is really well done though. But yeah, Best is either doing some kind of cheeky DT play like this, or he's playing straight up macro style. And you kind of do need to have a bit of a range of play as a pro gamer. You don't want to be kind of like, you know, pigeonholed into one style. So this is a way of Best keeping his range of play wide enough that people have to respect the possibility, so they can't just min-max against his usual style every single time.
Well, one thing I can say about this starport is Best is going to have or excuse me, Light is going to have an extreme lack of units when this DT drop comes in. It depends, like, he needs to have, of course, some sort of... Oh, he actually got an SCV out there to repair that. That's funny. He needs to have some detection, obviously, but aside from that, he's only going to have 1 factory worth of units, and a lot of those units are going to jump up into a dropship and be sent across the map. So he's going to have almost nothing here when these DTs come, unless he can get over into the base and drop these vultures and spot this DT before the drop comes out. I think he might be able to do that.
And Light is a prolific vulture drop player, so he should assume that the vulture drop is probably coming. 4 Dragoons in position, walking in there, should be able to mow down these vultures. They may get a couple of probes, but look at that probe block as well, guaranteeing the kill on those vultures with the target fire of the particle beams. 2 more additional vultures now coming in to this natural expansion. Look at the probe drill from Best, though. He's pretty good at dealing with these threats, not losing too much of an economic threat to deal with. So I really don't feel like this is enough punish from Light. And now we see the counter from Best coming into the main base. The turrets are not done. He's going to get the kill on that. He may have to just tap out now.
Yeah, there's nothing to do here. I mean, Light, he was trying his best to get damage when maybe he should have been after he saw that DT, after he saw that tech, maybe just going directly into some detection. I'm sure he had that on the way, but he's just not gonna have this in time. He barely gets the turret up. No way. Great micro with those SCVs. Just barely keep that alive. Oh my gosh, the DT's out of range.
Yeah, he will kill at least 2 of those depots if he doesn't make a turret. So he will have to make a turret and probably still lose 1 depot if he doesn't repair or try and bloody block or anything.
He did manage to gun down the shuttle. That's something. Gonna lose that 1 supply depot.
Oh, it might be out of range still.
Okay.
Oh no, it's still in range. Okay, just barely.
Just barely. We'll be able to kill that. Another run by into the natural, but Great body blocking there from Best. This Vulture might get a couple kills. Okay, these Dragoons are just on break. They're on a coffee break. They're just gonna hang out for a minute. It almost feels like we, you know, lost connection or something, and this is a broken replay, but I'm pretty sure it's not. 4 kills on this Vulture now. What is happening?
What is happening? Best. What? Okay, now he cleans up, but he just let like 5 or so probes just die when, yeah, they could have just killed that Vulture themselves. So a little bit of an issue, but has still got 3 bases behind this, so just needs to make sure, you know, dotting his I's, crossing his T's, and firing on all cylinders. He'll still be in a great game state after this harassment damage. So even though he's not getting an easy win, he's still done a lot of damage for Light to sustain. He's going into his own 3 bases. Maybe Light can somehow just survive and keep the pressure on and get 1 or 2 more probe kills with these Vulture run-bys and stabilize the game state that way. It's not quite paying off just yet, but that one Vulture did get like 6 or so kills for free almost, so maybe that's just barely enough to stabilize the game state and go forward here and survive.
Well, I think this is expected. Best is going to go into Arbiter on 3 base. That's the natural path to take after opening DTs, but I like what Light is doing. I like the idea of just grabbing this 3rd base immediately. You know that you're not going to be able to go across the map and win quickly versus Best, so dragging out the game gives you a better chance of winning. Really, the chances of winning with just an attack coming right now would be 0. So sitting back at home and just gearing up, maybe take this game really late. Maybe that early game lead doesn't really matter as much anymore.
Yeah, well, the game state's already a bit weird. Maybe Light can, you know, win out on experience the longer this game goes on and the weirder it gets. Maybe he can still, you know, thread the needle and, you know, eventually trade out into a good game state. There is the issue of these bases mining out much faster that Light has to worry about, which means he's kind of pressured to expand a bit more aggressively than he would like to usually. As Terran, you usually have the luxury of kind of sitting back on 3 bases for quite some time until like the 19-20 minute mark. So in this way, though, you kind of like are forced to expand about 3 minutes earlier than usual, I would say. So it does put the Terran on a bit of a clock. Both players will be expanding rapidly, and the Protoss player can do that easier.
Well, Best has that 4th base on the way, and he does lose this DT at the front, but this map is unique in that taking a 5th base, or it could have potentially been a 4th base of Best down in the bottom left or down in the bottom right, will net you 3 bases if you can defend it properly. It's very tough for Light to push bottom left, and if Best gets a bunch of cannons down there and sets up those 3 bases, he is going to have money for weeks. And so Light really can't let that happen. He's got to make a move before Best gets too big, but he really doesn't have anything to make that move with just yet. He's gearing up slowly, but he definitely doesn't want to push before +2 attack comes online.
It would be ideal as well if he could get that quadrant set up, because it would then force Light to attack cross map to engage rather than expanding towards the Terran and making them attack on the horizontal or vertical axis. Much safer for Terran and avoiding the risk of being surrounded and flanked. Makes it easier to scout where the Protoss army is as well. So yeah, this is kind of an ideal situation for Best going forward. I'm not sure how Light wants to deal with this and approach this. I think he's just going to make a monstrous amount of units that he can, macro up on 7 factories, and then just hope he can maybe take a 4th while putting pressure on and maybe do a push timing, kind of, you know, attacking while defending. Maybe could work out for him, I don't know.
The problem is having this... Oh, there's the Nexus
right
coming down. Bottom right has already been scouted. Light was trying to get a cheeky CC going down there, but that's certainly not going to end up happening for him. That's just not going to be allowed by Best.
Yeah.
Best is getting the Nexus in bottom left. He's going to be setting up that other quadrant soon.
I think it would have been way better if Light tried to like attack and defend at the same time and do a big push timing rather than try and sneak up a base in the quadrant like this. I don't think this was ever going to work.
Well, I understand where his head's at, right? He knows he's in a bad spot, and he's looking for any out. He's looking for a way that he could maybe make a comeback in this game, and he thought, well, if you just don't scout bottom left, then maybe I get that for free, and I end up, you know, coming back in this game. But doesn't work out. It's not that expensive though. Just cancel the CC. It's an investment, but eventually it will mostly be refunded. First Arbiter has quite a bit of energy, and we'll end up seeing here soon which spells that Best opted for. He might already have them both, actually. Not sure about that.
The CC was killed. It wasn't refunded, but
oh, really?
I'm not sure about that.
Right,
yeah, the CC was actually killed. It's a little bit rough, but yeah, I think it's problematic for Light because he has to play for the stars to align. Like you say, he needs to like take these like risks to try and hope that they pay off, so that's the only way the game state will be playable enough in the coming phases. And a few of those have gone wrong. Like some of them have gone right, but a few critical ones have gone wrong. So now he's in a little bit of a problem because he doesn't have this fourth base early timing, and he does want it set up around about now to be safe. He's going to be mined out on these second and third bases pretty quickly relative to the normal game state. We're already coming up to that mark now.
This is the problem with this map. The fact that those high ground bases, they mine up so much quicker. You can get them up faster and get this extra income rolling, but you are going to run out of money fast. He also needs to push out into this concave that Best has set up, and if he does this incorrectly and walks over his own mines and ends up getting destroyed by this first attack in, then there's not going to be a real follow-up for Light. Like, how many times can he max out when these bases are going to be running out of money here soon? I think only maybe one more time, potentially.
Yeah.
Maybe not even that. Maybe you might run out of money before you can hit that max out again.
He might be able to hit one more max out just barely, but it would be a weak max out. This is not looking ideal. Pretty good stasis on the clump of vultures as well. Usually you'd want to stasis tanks, but actually stasising the vultures makes it way harder to screen the Protoss army as well. So this is still a valuable choice to go for sometimes. He's just going to be slowly whittling down Light while remaxing himself. He's already building a bit of a bank and got the quadrant set up in the bottom left with the rally point set up down there of at least 5 or 6 or so gateways. So Best just wants to keep hammering on the gates and trading off army and keeping the Terran max out a little bit weak here.
Trying to set up some mines on the other side, but throwing away vultures on the other side of the map is a sign that Light is not confident that he can actually push out just yet. Gonna wait for a couple more rounds of units, and he's gonna max out very soon, so he'll have that massive clump of Terran army that could potentially take a good fight, but Best is just so good at handling these attacks that I'm not sure that he's going to get that good fight that he's looking for. A great EMP there, but there's already a spell cast, and these storms are just annihilating everything. Oh my goodness, Best!
He's on power upgrades yeah, I think he's on power upgrades as well. I think he's got 2-1 upgrades on his army to the 2-1 of the Terran as well. So he's been on curve in every metric and ahead in many others. So really impressive stuff from Best. He's really playing his A game today.
He just deleted like 40 supply of Light, maybe even more than that, and hardly lost anything of his own. This one trade not quite as good, not nearly as good actually. Lost like 20 supply to almost nothing from Light, so it's going back and forth. Maybe Light can push out now after clearing out a lot of those dragoons, but I think Best is setting up for another push in here in a moment.
Yeah, Best is just being hyper aggressive with some of these trades, knowing that he wants to refill on different kinds of units. Like, he's constantly adapting his unit composition as well, so he has to let some units die in cost inefficient trades. Look at this massive catching of tanks though. So many tanks caught out of position. Light was in pure desperation mode, and he kind of did another leap of faith, hoping for the best, trying to snag a bunch of ground for free, but Best is already there to pounce on him and rip his arms off and start to beat him to death with them.
Well, if he was hoping for the best, you know that he got it. Best running him over, walking right up and smashing through that army. Excellent control play from Best, just holding back Light and not letting him have any sort of route back into this game. After that initial DT drop, he had the game kind of in the bag. He just needed to get out the door, right? And he made sure that Light didn't have any way to block him or any way to prevent him from taking that one home. Best wipes the squad, taking out both Sock and Light. One revive in the pocket. Who's it going to be? Sock? We're going to bring back Light? Possibly Speed? The disgraced Royal and Speed, really. These two guys, I don't think either of them stand a chance, actually.
It's Sock or Light.
Sock or Light, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Sock because of how well he's played, but it's also Light because of maybe potential experience. Yeah, you want to maybe consider him, but I think, yeah, Sock or Light, for sure.
A hard choice either way. Who is it going to be? Find out. Light is going to be the final hope of Terran. His experience and game knowledge, well respected amongst these players, and they've decided to give him a chance at redemption versus Best. We'll see if he's able to give us a longer series, or will this saga end with a Protoss versus Zerg finals. That would be a surprise.
It would be a surprise. I mean, he is the beacon of hope right now for Terran. Would be very surprising indeed to see that PVZ finals. And if Protoss can somehow win it, I'm sure we'll have apes doing backflips in the comments below saying that'd be nice to see. I'm sure they need a bit of a redemption arc because they've been kind of feeling the pain recently with Protoss's performance.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of those comments. I'm sure you have too, Shun.
Yeah.
I just hope that if we do get that PVZ finals, that it's not a complete smash in favor of Zerg, because
that could be worse. Yeah.
that's been a little bit the case this season, right? It's not been looking too good in that matchup. So I really did think there was going to be a Terran versus Zerg finals, and I thought that was going to be an amazing matchup. We really don't know what to expect, though. Anything can happen in KCM, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we say it every weekend almost, but it almost seems like every time we say it, the writers at KCM say, hold my beer, and we just see how we can crank it up to 11 next week.
That's absolutely true. They've been upping the ante over and over. We're almost getting used to the chaos at this point, Shun. We're like kind of expecting it now. Maybe the unexpected thing would be for things to normalize a little bit.
Exactly that. Yeah, we've gotten to such a crazy point in history that now anything that's not crazy is crazy. We've gone full circle.
Well, let's see if Best can close this one out. He's sending the Zealot in. He's got the probe ready as well. Testing Light's micro early game. See if he's still got it. At first, SCV taking a lot of damage, but does get pulled back in time. These two Marines are ready to fight. Push that
so far, so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a good job. You do have to kind of respect this a little bit and pull a few SCVs off the line, just because if you do get this SCV sniped over and over again, it becomes a little bit of a problem. But he's getting a lot of punches on this Marine, at least one of them going down. 2 particle beam shots on the other one, not enough for a one-shot with this Zealot, though. So, actually, pretty good job from Light so far. A little bit of a dance around, doing a pretty good job of keeping that Marine alive. Needs to be careful, though. It's going to be slide on top of the SCV and not be able to get away. Needs to keep microing back to this whole Light. You're going to lose your Marine if you're not careful. Beautiful target firing. Does manage to get that down, though, but he was very close to losing an additional Marine there.
Wow. Quite the juking and jiving on that Marine. Barely able to keep that alive long enough to deal those extra hits. It takes so many attacks to kill a Zealot. It feels silly at some points, but he did manage to hold that off with flying colors. He gets the bunker up. Only 2 Marines died to 2 Zealots in the end. And now with the Vulture out on the map, I'd say Light's going to be feeling pretty good about this opener. And he's even going to get this SCV and potentially, oh my goodness, he had the opportunity to get in there, but unfortunately doesn't get the full scout in addition to this beautiful hold.
And he sent the probe back, so he's not actually building the Nexus right now. So weirdly, the SCV getting there will make the Nexus go down at a bit of a later timing, but he also doesn't know exactly what's coming yet. He hasn't confirmed this Nexus now. So if he can, he wants to come back in there with the Vulture later on and reconfirm this, but he might be denied that scouting information with the Dragoon screening.
Vulture, very important to keep this alive. We'd like to get by, maybe sneak in and get some damage, but much more important to just keep that Vulture on the map. Oh my goodness, the SCV just sliding right past. That guy's buttered up.
Yeah.
Completely.
He was buttered up, but this Dragoon was also like paid hourly, so he was like kind of like chilling on the left-hand side a bit too much.
The government worker was watching his phone, not paying attention. The one moment where he was needed. He lets the SCV slip in, and now everything's been revealed. Light is going to come across and put some pressure on. He likes what he sees. He thinks he can get something done with this. Now Best has no idea that something like this is on the way. And this, I mean, if he catches a Dragoon just standing at the front, puts a bunch of damage on it, the follow-up with the Vultures might be able to really get some damage done. We'll see.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're hoping for with this kind of play. You're hoping to catch like Dragoons off guard, shave off the shields with the Vulture, and then just mow down enough of the hull damage with some tank shots that the follow-up trades just go your way. There's not enough infantry to hold you at bay. Not many Marines to soak damage, but as we can see, a lot of damage already coming onto one of these Dragoons, and the other Dragoon's actually a little bit out of position if he wants to pause the issue, but he's also not sure about how many Dragoons are here. He hasn't got full scouting information, so he's a little bit hesitant to push in. There could be like, say, 4 or 5 Dragoons at this point in the game. He doesn't know for sure exactly how many Dragoons Best has got, so he's being a little bit cautious, waiting for the 3rd tank. He's going to rotate around to the center first before going for any additional player.
I think that Best wasn't really expecting Light to push there because he'd lost a couple of Marines early game. He just doesn't have that real Marine count that he could need. Oh, wait, is this? Oh no, wait. Hold on, I'm tripping. I thought this was another eBay floating, but I saw 2 eBays there. But just one eBay in the main base. That's a barracks floating over here towards his opponent's base. Taking some damage on that, but he's managed to get mines in between the 3rd and natural, and he's going to get on high ground with these tanks. Best caught completely off guard. This is an excellent position, but it is a complete sack on these tanks. Like, there's no way that these are getting home anymore, and let's see how this trade goes.
Yeah, look at this spreading of mines as well. He's like trying to buy as much time as possible. Needs to target fire this Zealot down though. Don't let it get on top. Nicely done, but he needs to be careful still. These Dragoons can save the day if they do a good job. 2 Vultures on the rally point trying to buy some more time. Look at that mine detonation not going off with the target fire of Best. Juggling on 2 fronts now, trying to get up the ramp against these tanks while also clearing up the mines being laid in the wake of their rally point. Doing a good job of doing both so far. Now Best getting top of both of the tanks. This is a lovely cleanup on aisle 5 from Best. There is still some Vultures trying to get some shenanigans done on these rally Vultures and intercepting the probe transfer, but so far Best is doing a great job of keeping all the plates spinning.
Yeah, Best handles that with care. However, this probe transfer, 2, 3 probe kills in that probe transfer, and he's going to try to run by into the main as well. Getting pretty scrappy with these Vultures, showing us a Sharp-esque, maybe a Speed-esque style, getting very aggressive with these units and getting some good damage. He even gets that last kill.
Nice.
Nicely done.
Yeah, he was He was doing shift hold mines as well. You saw how fast the Vulture was sliding off the mines as they were being laid. Like, really well executed there from Light. Almost frame perfect inputs from that Vulture, squeezing out a little bit of extra juice from the orange. He knows he needs to be firing on all cylinders against someone of Best caliber. It does seem like Best is playing out of his mind right now as well. Like, Best seems to be like just like fresh from the groomers yet again, coming out with a nice shirt, shiny fur pelt. Oh,
there is two
eBays.
I thought I saw a second eBay.
That's crazy.
I was losing my mind there for a second.
I mean, I thought there was too many fumes in the casting booth or something, saying, and you were just on a different planet. But no, you're right. There is a second eBay.
Well, I'm glad to know that I'm not, you know, completely cooked. My brain is not absolutely rotten out of my skull. Those two eBays, definitely a mistake. That's not something that we're looking for. I mean, you might be able to utilize that in some way for scouting or just to soak up Dragoon shots in a fight or whatever, but it's definitely not part of the plan that he originally came up with.
I mean, I don't know what is going according to plan right now in the world, saying we're living in strange times indeed. Maybe this was all the plan from the start, and we are just very, very adept writers that always know how to subvert your expectations. Now starting to put his arm out onto the map and try and establish some kind of foothold to later take his third base. Light now starting to come out, and right as he's doing that, Best is already starting to put on the pressure, moving Dragoons into position from both the north and the east flanks, trying to catch these Vultures as they transit around to get some free pot shots with phase disruption onto those units and weaken an already stifled Terran player.
If Light loses this tank move out, he is going to most likely lose this game. The fourth base already online for Best. He's gearing up for his patented push, his patented tank line breaking attack and a flank, which might turn into a bit of a counterattack, is set up from Best over on this side. He'll have to set up some mines. He actually pulls back all the tanks. Light is angling towards pushing along this vertical axis. That is a tough position to dislodge a Terran player from, but you're also going to be quite tightly mixed over there in that natural area. My goodness, that mine did very, very well. Zealot's coming forward, Dragoon's coming forward. He actually gets shoved back in a big way. Light has an opportunity here. He's gonna push into that really tight area where he could potentially take an amazing trade against Best units. Best's gonna loop around, look for a counterattack option, because just running his army into that tight, narrow choke is probably gonna result in a loss for Protoss here.
Best is losing the war of attrition right now, but he might be able to win based on maneuver warfare, so he's trying to come in from the eastern side, get a big wedge in on top of this high ground. Look at the screening of Vultures just body blocking the ramp. There's no way you can come up into this cross choke point like this. Now he's forced to kind of counterattack and try and isolate the rally point, but there's too many units already knocking on the door, and this is the war of attrition that Light is trying to fight, and the maneuver warfare of Best is currently being outdone. He's trying to come into the natural expansion. Best already has some rally units to deal with this, while Light is already hammering on the gate, starting to knock down the wall. He's trying to make a gambit in the natural expansion of Light, getting on top of these two tanks that are already in formation. There's a couple more tanks coming up on the rally point. There should be just barely enough here with the SCV pool to clean this up back at home, while he's also putting a lot of pressure. He's actually pulling back some army from the front to deal with this.
Oh my goodness, he pulls back his army to help out, and the natural maybe overestimating the amount of damage that Best was going to be able to do.
Oh, wow.
He gets broken in this little alcove, and this is a momentum play. What Light is trying to do, he needs to make this work. He does not have a third base, and Best is getting larger and larger. He's still cranking out masses of units with 4 bases online. Ah, man, I don't know if Light can still do this. 12 kills on this Dragoon. It's still getting damaged in this corner.
Yeah, it's actually crazy. Only Best can get this done. It's like a little bit wild how these low HP Dragoons are getting so much value. Light's just barely out of range to deal with those. Now more Vultures maybe going down to some Mind Drags. Needs to be careful with how he positions these units. So far, though, he has got the entrenched position back again. Supplies are even, so you Light of just barely might still be able to do this, but if he starts, like, you know, sending out some DTs here and there and forcing out scans, there's not enough energy, then eventually this could get cleaned up as well by technical utility play from Bez. Only 2 scanners to work with, so DTs could make an easy work of this. We see the first DT coming out now. This could be just the thing that Best needs to equalize this kind of gambit that's from Light. First DT is now cleared up, but already has been denied mining in this natural expansion. This could still be a victory for Light. Supply is still currently even.
Could be a victory for Light, could also be a victory for Best. He's making another counterattack attempt over towards this natural. There's 3 tanks there. The rallies are a little bit slow to come out for Light. He's splitting off 2 tanks from this entrenched position to go attack 12. Is that going to be a mistake? Maybe Best can come out and break the entrenched position while this is going on. Oh my gosh, only the 1 cannon on that high ground is a little bit crazy. He's got so much money in the bank. 1,300 minerals are available to Best. He's going to surround this army and kill it. I think at the same time, he's going to lose every probe over there at the top side. He's running in to try and kill these last few tanks. Can he actually get that last tank? Looks like he will, but he loses almost his entire army in the process.
This is really well played from Light. He actually didn't kill all the probes there. He left like a few handful up there just to know that he has to get back with all his vultures in time to help out with that trade. And he actually is currently ahead in supply by about 20. He's still trading out pretty efficiently. Best will stabilize eventually, and he is a bit on the clock. He needs to kill Best for the next 4 minutes or so. He is doing a pretty good job of trading still. Look at this great entrenched position is now being set up yet again. So many Dragoons are going down. Light can still do this. He's doing a fantastic job of keeping Best on the back for this entire time. I hope he's got enough scans to keep going for these DT gambits that will come out of these gateways. There's 1 DT here now. There could be, he's still got enough scans to deal with this. It looks like he might be able to go all the way, saying this is kind of crazy that he's still making this work.
This is wild indeed, and there's only one place where Zealots and Dragoons can increment out of. It's that main base. The third is going down, losing a ton of probes over at that base. The counterattack is happening. The third base will be denied for Light, but this entrenched position is looking just about unbreakable with only a small trickle of units coming out on this kind of rough angle for Best. He's going to try and get over here, try to stop that tank from at least killing his 4th base, but that's only delaying the inevitable. Eventually more units will be brought over to that area, and with scans and with vultures here to hold this back, he should be able to break these pylons down, and Best will be forced in one desperate final attack to try and break this. Here it is right now, jumping through all of these mines, going to try to drag them onto the tanks. Not the greatest drags there, but at least the vultures weren't present, so he can actually get on top of some of these. However, his base over there at the 12 is going down in the meantime, diving on top of these tanks. One more final hoorah here for Best, but it seems like it's just barely not going to be enough. He's got a few units out on the map that are thinking about counterattacking in towards the natural, but he's so low on probes. He's so low on economy. He's barely mining at all. Same goes for Light, however. Oh my goodness, he's going to lose these last few tanks. Best, what is going on in this game? He's going to lose that Nexus. This Nexus is still alive, though. He could possibly transfer some workers over there, and Light is running out of minerals. He's mined out in the main shun.
Yeah, this is really crazy. I mean, there's only a last little bit of trickle in the natural expansion for Light. Maybe 1 more minute of juice left in the engine to keep going all the way. Best is relying heavily on this mineral only. He's long distance mining his natural expansion. His main will be pretty much dried up now as well. This is kind of a wild game state. Light is actually ahead in supply. He's catching some of these probes and High Templars with the vultures as well. It's a great effort from Light. He's doing so fantastic in this game. He somehow managed to increase his lead gradually more and more, from both being even on supply, then 10 ahead, then 20 ahead, now 30 ahead. He's doing a fantastic job, but he hasn't got any income set up for the longevity, so he needs to somehow mine enough to get the CC started on the 3rd base again, or he has to go for an all-in gambit and try and kill this mineral only from Best right here, right now.
Looks like he's gonna float the main base. That's gonna go -1 scanner, though. If there's more DTs coming out, he's only gonna have 1 scanner to work with. Vultures making their way forward. He still has a little bit of money. He's managed to put together a reasonable army, and he's attacking directly into the exact same position that he's been going for this entire game. This choked up area is so tough to get into. Best doesn't want to drive his army through that area just yet. He's holding back as long as possible, hoping that maybe a storm or something is going to be able to save him, but the Templar gets sniped. Those Templar go down, and the mines get dragged into the vultures as well. He's running out of options. So much of his army has just been kind of removed from the board. And the counterattack seems like the only thing worth doing at this point. He's going to try to come over here and fight this, but GG! Best taps out, and Light takes this victory, bringing Terran back into the series. Light saves the day. Thought we were going to have a premature end to the semifinals with Best clearing out everybody. It really did seem to me like Best was getting an advantage there, but that one alleyway right below his natural was brutal to try and get Light out of.
Light is just a genius in knowing how to exploit positions, so if anyone's going to do something like that, it makes sense that Light was able to abuse the geometry of that map to his heart's content and made a real dicey game out of it, and Best just couldn't weather the storm, unfortunately. Really well executed play from Light. You can see why he's the revive and he's the daddy of Terran for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That was with Best being on such a hot streak, maybe only Light would be capable of making that happen, but he's got to get through YSC now, and he'll also have to beat Best in a rematch, I imagine, if it goes to that. Just looking at how Best has been playing, I can't imagine anyone else being revived.
Yeah, and look at this from Light. He's even checking the corners of his base to see if there's any probes hiding for either a proxy or a gas steal in his main.
It's good solid play. However, YSC not interested in gas stealing. That's going to be surprising, I think, for Light, who is it seems like he's opting to just go straight into gases anyway. He doesn't care if his gas is stolen or not. He just wants to get a good early CC down, and this will give him a reasonable position to fight up against Nexus first. It's not even, but it's definitely doable for Light, right?
Yeah, I would say so. It's nice that YSC's gotten so much damage on this scouting SCV already, though. It's definitely a bit of an advantage for Protoss going forward in this game. And the Nexus first is obviously better than the bunker expand, so have to still give an edge to YSC based on that alone. But knowing that it's Light, obviously that would adjust my percentages.
Yeah, how is Nexus first versus Gases fast expand? Is it?
It's ever so slightly better. It's just better slightly in the economic curve. You just get your tech. Everything's slightly faster. You're just playing from ever. Yeah. Ever so slightly.
There's some other things that could be cut, but for example, right, YSC probably just gonna skip Zealots completely and go directly into Dragoons. That's the most greedy way to play this Nexus first, and he might get punished a little bit.
To be honest, this compensation that we see Terrans going for recently with the 1 Marine, 1 SCV Gambit here, this has been actually making things much more even in terms of the win percent recently. This is what's been the adjustment that Terran players have made to this build order to make sense of it and also make it work in the next transition, because it's a lot of damage really. Even though you're not necessarily always killing probes, just forcing them to stop mining for a few seconds is actually really a big deal in the min-max of the Protoss.
It's funny, it looks so similar to some of the Naked Marine move-outs that we see in early game with TVZ. Yeah. Just a tiny little poke to try and deal some damage, or just push away the first drone. In this case, it's going to be probe that gets pushed away, and even getting 1 kill, which shouldn't be expected, but it's definitely welcome for Light. Light looking to be in a much more even position despite this Nexus first, and the Zealot gonna get the scout on, sees that CC. I think that's completely expected. I don't think that was even necessary to scout, but he wants to get that confirmation and make sure he knows what he's playing against. So moving into this mid game, what are we gonna see out of YSC? Is he gonna get fancy? Looks like he wants to get into a Reaver. How fast is he gonna be able to take this third base though?
I mean, not super crazy. Probably like a 5:30, 6 minute would be about greedy, but not being too greedy. With the Reaver as well, it's a little bit slower, closer to 6 minutes, maybe 6 minutes 30. You could go for 2-gate Robo Observer and delay the Reaver, get the really fast Nexus timing at around 5:30, but I wouldn't recommend it. This makes more sense from him because you want to have more slowdown potential on the push timings from Light. You don't want to let him just like come down the middle of the map for free. Just like Light is going upgrade style though. We see an armory already coming out of him really early on. I wonder if he's gonna make a second armory or if that's just gonna be the only armory we see from him all game long. Who knows?
This is a bit of a weird map to go upgrade style. Like,
right.
if you're just gonna go straight into, you know, 2-2 or whatever, if you're gonna go double or 2-1 double armory play, like that's gonna be very hard to take your third. And there's just so many different angles of attack that you have to deal with. I can't imagine him doing that sort of old school style. Looks like this CC, or excuse me, this Nexus is going to be around that timing you were talking about earlier, around 6:30 most likely. I believe he just sent the probe out now, so it might even be a little later than that, being pretty conservative.
As long as it's about 7 minutes is still relatively on curve, but yeah, 6:30 to 7 minutes is about on curve.
Oh, with that 6, almost 7 minute Nexus coming out, he hasn't been so super greedy, and so it's not incumbent on Light to try and deal any damage to him. This Reaver, however, getting in here and stopping that turret is going to open up a position that maybe he can really start to abuse. Some Goliaths are the answer for Light, but oh gosh, is he going to get the shuttle? This is a great move, grabbing that shuttle. Oh man, yeah. YSC overstayed with that, and the 4 Goliaths from Light, that's exactly what those were made for. They pick off that early shuttle and shut down that aggression, and what looked to be like a pretty good drop there from YSC turns into an absolute disaster. The delay on the Nexus was because he wanted this Reaver out to deal some damage, and it really didn't get what he was looking for.
I really like the 4 Goliath meta that we have in recent times. It used to be that tank Goliath was the counter to shuttle play back in the day, but then they figured out, oh, you only kind of need like 4 Goliaths really, because that's enough to 2-shot the shuttles, and it kind of makes sense. Like, you don't need to go crazy on how many Goliaths you're making, so they can kind of optimize and, you know, kind of get this like tank Goliath set up with just a bare minimum investment of Goliaths and make it work that way. And it has been very optimized and working it very, very efficiently for Terrans, and I love to see it. So
it's always nice to see these small optimizations that allow players to build fewer defenses in the early game. Like, just having those 4 Goliaths makes it so that so many fewer turrets need to be built. It wasn't that long ago where players were building this massive turret ring very early on in the game, and it really eats into your overall economy by a lot. Not just building all the turrets, but having the SCVs off the line for all this time to get those turrets up. Now he can put the turrets up as he's ready to push out. I agree, it is a great change that's been made in the Terran meta.
It's also very attention taxing making turrets and stuff, because you have to look at the turrets and tell the SCV to do something else. It's very APM intensive, which is what Terrans have a hard time with. They got to tell all these SCVs to do different tasks when they finish their previous tasks, and that can get very taxing on the attention dividing that they have to do, and some of the plates can come crashing down when they least expect it. And that's the hardest thing about Terran, is this sort of like mid-game phase where you're kind of like dotting all your I's, crossing your T's, and trying not to get distracted from keeping the other plates spinning while you're doing that.
Light is keeping these plates spinning and moving over towards this third base. As long as nothing comes crashing down on him in the next couple of minutes, he'll have this third online here soon. YSC is ready to come in for the flank, but suddenly Light breaks across this bridge and he's making a dash for the other, the bridge on YSC's side of the map. He's able to surround a lot of these Dragoons and actually picks off 2 of them. Gonna force the other one down as well. Running it down this middle area. There's so many Dragoons to the north and south of Light's original position, and they're not being brought back to deal with this. Light is on the warpath, just screaming across over here towards this natural, and YSC, most of his army is just not in position to deal with it.
Yeah, he's looking like a gladiator charging into the Colosseum with a net and trident, snagging his opponent and then just stabbing him and running him through with his units as well. Needs to be careful on the back foot. Some attempts from YSC to counterattack, but there's enough units in reserve with his rally point and the macro powerhouse of Light that he seems to be okay while still putting on maximum pressure at the front right now. Pretty impressive screening against these Zealots. They can't really get on top of these tanks. They're getting maybe 2 of the tanks at the front line, but by the time they get to the next back row, they're not really got enough units left over in reserve to keep going all the way. So looks like full steam ahead for Light. He's going to put the gas pedal all the way down to the bottom now and just get right into YSC's face and try and close out the game.
YSC needed some massive damage from those 2 Reavers. He needed those units to slow down this push, and they just died so quickly to the 3 Goliaths that remain. He sniped down that shuttle, and he continues to push forward here for the win. We are going to get that rematch. Best versus Light, most likely, is coming up next. Indeed, Best has been brought back. This rivalry will continue. 1 win on the board for Light against Best, but can Best get his revenge here and chop Light up? I want to see it happen, Shun. Let's go.
I mean, I think it might happen, and what better contender than Best to do it? He is of the Saiyan race, like most of these Protoss are, and you know, there's a full moon tonight, and there might be an Uzaru transformation, just a massive gorilla the size of King Kong, just smashing Light to pieces, and the last beacon of hope of Terran's dreams being shattered, and a PvZ finals might be what's in store for us, but we'll have to wait and see. Light can still go the distance and clean up house and get that TVZ finals that I'm sure some people are desperate to see. We'll have to see what we got in store for us. Looks like a bunker expand approach to this map for the time being, walling off in the natural expansion, trying to set up ahead of time maybe.
I think he might be angling towards another gaseous fast expand. This is the style that Light excels at the most. And indeed, he's not taking that gas geyser. Will be setting up his CC. It's similar to what I said about Speed, right? I don't like to see Speed do this style, because I think he shines better in those situations when he has early game units and he's able to do lots of interactions with his opponent and force different things out of them. But Light, he's much more of a comfort player, and this is where he really excels, is when he's able to play his game and just get into a good position in the mid game.
Yeah, Light's the kind of guy, at least in the TVP, he's just trying to survive and get to the later stages of the game where he can let his, you know, pure experience take over, and like he'll win out on the decision tree, because he's not thinking about what is the best build that I can play. He's thinking what's the best tool for the job based on the game state, and he's very good at analyzing the game state and coming up with strategies on the fly in the mid to late game phases that some of these other guys just can't quite do in the same manner of things. They're much more reliant on their style or their build orders getting an advantage early on and then playing from there. Light doesn't need that. He's just pure experience. He's played more games than you. He just knows the game state better than you. If he gets into a good game state in the mid to late game phase, he will find a way of getting a win condition under his belt.
And to that point, Light is one of the only players I've seen on Dominator, or one of the first, definitely, the first players I've seen on this map who push towards the middle of the map as Terran versus Protoss. Like everybody else at the beginning when this map was released were pushing along these ups and downs, along all of these pizza slices that, you know, do grant high ground. Obviously, they're quite strong if you're able to get up on there and get sieged up, and the position is good. But the middle of the map has all of these walls and ridges that are so good for a Protoss player defensively. It's not a great position to like it's not a base, right? The middle of the map is not a base. It's not something that you can hold or anything that you want to push, but just holding the center of the board is insanely impactful. Just like a game of chess, it can make all the difference.
Yeah, it's not as stable as in chess in terms of taking the center of the board, but it does allow you so many more attack and defensive options, and gives you a maneuver warfare style of play to initiate from, rather than just relying on pure macro and trying to hope for winning the battle of attrition later on down the line. It does circumnavigate the low to high ground transitions like you were talking about. Paying a little bit of attacks here on the repair bunker, nothing crazy. This is pretty much everything that we expect to see in a bunker expand game, just a small tax being paid here to compensate.
Trying to take a little bit of a trade there at the front, spending some time with these Dragoons to force out the repair. Makes that early range a little bit more worthwhile. The SCV making its way over towards the natural. There's a DT transition. There's a secret tech that Best is trying to sneak out. Great, excellent block there. Can he stop it before it gets the full scout? He does.
Yeah.
Really important that Best blocked that with the probe. If he didn't get that probe block, I think Light would have seen everything. This could have been a completely different game.
Oh, Light needs to be careful. He's trying to bait in this Dragoon. He knows it's on low HP. Just 2 shots to kill that with a tank. He's trying to bait the Dragoons to come in and trade. But if he goes like 1 hex tile out of position and Best is paying attention, if Best is quick with his reactions, he can actually lose the tank. So like you're kind of rolling the dice and hope you don't roll a 1 there, that Best is paying attention. Because if he's paying attention, he comes out 2 hex tiles away from the bunker like that, he can definitely get the snipe on that tank. We got DTs now coming out. It's been unscouted by that SCV, so now he's going to go for this 3 tank push right as the DTs are going to be rolling up on him in a moment. It's going to be a really bad news bears for Light.
Light has a turret in the natural, but it's not the greatest turret. It's only covering the left side of this bunker. The right side is going to be wide open. Here comes the DTs. Does he see it? He sees it immediately. Is that in range? It's barely not in range. He's not able to stop these DTs from running by. Oh my goodness. That turret just barely out of position is gonna hurt Light so badly in this game. The Dragoons running in to start hitting this natural. So much pressure is being applied to the Terran in a situation like this. He loses that SCV on the turret as well. He just barely got to get this up. Can he kill? Can he kill? He does get the DT. 1 DT is down. 1 DT is down. The other one still annoying.
Great target fire on the mines. These Dragoons are pinning the units down in the natural expansion, so they can't clean up the DT that's in the main base, kind of skirmishing right now, and coming in with some more DTs, killing the mines before they can get laid. Now we'll also kill the turret going up. This is huge. Great play from Best right now. There's 1 mine at the bottom of the ramp currently, but the DT in the main base is still killing mines as they're being laid, so there's not much defensively in the main base at the moment. You can get this other bunker down, maybe this other turret as well. Oh, this is crazy. You might just barely clutch it out and get this turret online. That 1 mine is not quite enough to kill this DT though. Now there's 2 DTs in the main base with only 1 vulture defending.
A few more vultures pop out and mines are set up, but some supply depots are gonna start to go down, and this is a similar situation, man. I feel like we've watched this before. This is Best getting in with another DT play against Light and dealing quite a lot of damage. It's gonna leave Light in a difficult position going forward.
Yeah, it's just so annoying right now. I mean, he does clean up the DT eventually, but he has lost quite a significant portion to this. And this other DT's got like 10 kills. Yeah, look at this. It's absolutely insane. And he can't get any much more than this. But this is already, the damage has been done, and this has stabilized the 3 base economy of Best and made it so there's no counter-attack potential that might be able to kill him. I think Light will still pull the trigger right here, right now, and just go for it anyway and hope for the best. It's not the worst idea because there's a chance that Best hasn't hasn't got enough gateways online that are churning out units right now. There might just be a window for Light to do something here, maybe catch a few of these Dragoons, slip by with the Vultures, but I don't think he's going to get much done by this. Even the probe just barely not walling in time there. This is actually huge. The fact that he didn't wall up his off in time actually might just barely keep Light in this game. This is maybe enough economic damage to still be in a good game state here.
Light's gonna go and take a third base. Oh, and another run by into the main base. No way. He's getting so much damage. Hold on. Light
Daddy
is
Terran.
maybe making it work.
Yeah, this
all
is
Best
insane.
needed to do was defend properly. The Vulture run bys, and he's failing to do so. Another Vulture run by. He could go for it. He doesn't. He backs away. Just gonna pull back with those Vultures and try to rely on this quick third base to make a very fast comeback. While Best is kind of thrown off balance by these Vulture run bys and this damage he's just sustained.
Yeah, seems like Light is establishing himself as the God Emperor for the Terran race, like in the 40k universe. This is kind of wild stuff to see. Maybe he can somehow pull this out of the bag. It's still awkward, though. It will allow him to get this third base up, more or less undeterred from Best, and Best will much rather just be on the back foot and get his fourth base up right now. Light's making that awkward for him as well with how many this Vulture's raiding pies out on the map, so this is not an easy game for either player, actually. We might have a bit of a scrappy PvT on our hands now. This might be a wild game going into the mid-game, Saiyan.
Oh, Best is not going to be happy about that when he spots the third base already done. And the turrets and tanks on that high ground with the wall. There's not really much you can do aside from try to take this fourth, like you said, and there's already Vultures over there ready to prevent that from happening. Light really on top of things, and there's a good chance that he shuts this fourth base down for a bit and brings himself into a really nice spot. What are the chances, though, that Best could just bowl him over, though, on these three bases?
I mean, on paper we always say it shouldn't happen, but that's what Best does. He makes the unbreakable positions breakable, so I never want to say never with that. He could still just absolutely crush Light, unfortunately, but he has slowed down this expansion quite significantly. The 11 minutes is about the threshold where Best needs this base up online to be okay in the curve of the game, so he has delayed it by about 30, 40 or so seconds. Maybe it's just barely enough to keep him comfortable in the economic state, but it's 150 supply to 100, still Best with a great game state. He might still be able to get that bowl over move and smash him.
Yeah, the position is not looking good. If I look at the army of Best, then I look at the army of Light, I think that army beats this army. Yeah, that's a lot of zealots. He's gonna have to have perfect positioning and absolutely perfect mines to make this hold.
Yeah, the problem is that how do you have your units spread out to both cover your third and your natural rally point? Like, you have to have the most perfect formation. Even making a bunker on this tank line, I kind of like it. He needs to really dig deep and find a way of weathering the storm here. It's going to be so hard. There's going to be shuttles bombing left, right, and center, while the Zealots and the Dragoons streaming in on the main front. Lots of mines made in the wake of that to buy as much time as possible. We're getting set up for maybe the move soon, but Best also could wait to pull the trigger and wait for storms if he wants to. The fourth base is now online for him, so he doesn't have to commit to an attack here.
Light has all the tanks set up. He's got the mines in the front. These are good. This is very good splitting on all these units as well. The Zealots are getting clumped up quite a bit, and the Vultures are really smashing this. The SCVs are going to be pulled. He just needs to defend this, blocking a lot of these Zealots actually quite well. My goodness, this block is insane. Dude, Best can't get in here, but is it going to be enough still, even with that block? These three tanks on the high ground haven't been pulled down yet. This one storm comes in, he holds. No way.
Wow, he holds. That's absolutely insane. That's the kind of thing I've tried to do in like 3v3 fastest maps, where you like pull a few of your workers to kind of glitch out the units where they're not paying attention. He makes it look easy. Somehow Light just hanging on by a thread right now, going on the counterattack, trying to snag some of these kills on the exit with some mines. mines. Pretty good mines on the end there. Does just barely manages to get the trade. Now wants to pressure these expansions. 2 cannons do protect one of these next side, but with 2-1 upgrades, you can gun down these cannons.
Light just went Kaioken ×4 there. I mean, the Great Ape is not going to be able to bust through that position. How did he hold that? I mean, I guess I know the answer. Pull your SCVs, but just try that in a game, guys, and see what happens to your army. It's not easy. Somehow Light makes it work, and he's still getting in here and dealing more damage with more Vulture run-bys. Probes are getting killed, and that supply differential is closing tighter and tighter. Light is making this happen somehow.
Yeah, pretty good drilling from the probes, avoiding too much heavy losses, but this is just barely what Light needs to do to not only stay in the game, but maybe give him some pretty strong win percentage chance as well. Best does have these 4 bases churning away, but now Light can easily set up his own mineral-only base, and Best doesn't have that huge supply differential anymore. Just 20 supply gap. It was 50 before, so a much comfortable position for Light to just move out and take his 4th and kind of be a little bit more chilled about the game state. Needs to keep applying pressure to Best, not allow him to set up another rally point for free in this 3 o'clock position. That's the main thing he needs to avoid. He's doing that very well so far, and then it's dropping the main base of a tank or 2 vultures. These are the kind of critical things that will keep Best distracted, and they're really great.
He's gonna go ahead and lift these tanks out, doing some fancy micro, trying to kill this. Oh, he loses the tank. Unfortunate there. He wanted to just snipe that so that he could land a second time with the vultures and try to get some more probe damage. Getting rid of the cannon is not going to be worthwhile in this case. That cannon did its job, and it blocked that drop from really getting what it was supposed to, and he lost the tank as well. So making a bit of an error there. It's not the worst thing in the world, though, throwing that away. Taking some attention from Best is really the goal of that in the end, and that kind of got its purpose. The 4th base coming up from Light. This is going to be another opportunity, though, for Best to break. That 4th base, he's got to stretch out a little bit farther. Anything beyond this, though, is going to be a massive reach, right? Taking a 5th base is going to be a huge reach for Light. Will Best try to break on 4, or is he going to wait for that all-important 5th base to come down?
Well, Light is hoping that Best will be aggressive so that he can simplify the board by trading off the pieces and then taking the expansion, so you don't have to cover as much ground and be spread too thinly. We see a lot of shuttles being loaded up. Best might be playing into the hands of Light right now. Light seems to have kind of engineered the game state that he wanted in the first place. We don't see this 3 o'clock being taken. It's these expansions that are much more closer to home, and he's splitting the map horizontally right now, which might favor Light in the later game state, but Best can still make it work. He breaks positions in crazy fashion. He's going to do a poor man's recall into the main base with 5 of these shuttles, pull the army back, and then maybe go on the offensive from the front once the army's coming into the main base to deal with this.
Wow, this is going to cost all of these shuttles because there are 3 turrets next to that CC. Those were turrets that were built to deal with the DT earlier on. He's gonna get the armory. The armory going down could be massive. Did he kill the armory that was the weapons?
Yeah, that's the question. That's the big question. Because if he did, that could just be game over for Light, not having enough of a trade. Oh, he gets the weapons! He didn't get the weapons! So Light gets the +2 attack upgrade on curve. So he's going to be still fine in this game state. He's so lucky that that wasn't the weapons upgrade that he lost out on, because that could have been huge for Best going forward. Now there's a lot more life, a lot more wind in his sails to keep going in this game.
That's one of those things where you're not really thinking about it as a Terran player. You're like, well, I'll just... Here, I'll put the weapons in this one, and I'll put the armor in this one. It's just kind of whatever's convenient at the time, right? But it could end up being so impactful. And Best, he gambles, and unfortunately, he loses. He's not going to stop that upgrade. He does, you know, stop the armor, which is something, but it's not nearly as impactful as that weapon upgrade would have been. Light pushing towards the middle, exactly as expected. Light going to take over this middle area, and you can just see how dirty it is to try and push a Terran player out of this middle area.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, like the stars are aligning for Light right now. It seems like he's the chosen one. He's the Neo that's going to try and break us out of the Matrix right now. Here comes the shuttle into the 9 o'clock, though. Maybe he can get some good storm drops here. Even though he's not killing that SCV train, he softened it all up to red HP. So if he does another additional storm drop in the future, those will die almost instantly. So you can only storm dodge for so long. Eventually, you will just die anyway because you haven't got any HP to use as a resource anymore. So follow-up storm drops on the 9 o'clock will be critical in getting a lot of damage done to the economy of the Terran player.
I'll have to watch carefully for one of those because, like you said, the SCVs will disappear in a blink of an eye, just instant vaporized at that low of HP. And so it'll be easy to miss when that attack comes in, but Best is gearing up for potentially a bust on this army. It's just so well placed though by Light. How do you even get in there to break that? I think you have to wait a little bit longer until Light starts to attack one of your bases or take one of his own, because running through that angle, through these different kind of tight spaces is going to cost you dearly in your army value. He's pushing up towards the north. This area might be possible to break into, right? There's a pretty decent size on the right-hand side. Maybe he can shove an army into that area and break this push, but he's got to move pretty soon.
Looks like he's going for a counterattack rather than breaking. It's going to sacrifice the mineral only and circumnavigate, facing the threat head-on here. Light's done such a good job of entrenching himself. Doesn't seem like Best wants to fight him head-on. Has got the rally point in the 3 o'clock going up right now. Wants to try and buy time maybe and just pull the attack back to defend instead, and kind of defend indirectly, and maybe pulling Light around the map a little bit. Usually Terran players will stay very fluid with their army movements in the center of the board and kind of match the movements of the Terran players, so of the Protoss players. So we see a bit of footwork from Best right now, trying to keep him circling around in the ring rather than getting him locked down into one corner.
Good storm, defensive storms there to try and slow down this army. Another counterattack is coming in for Best. He's pulling his probes out of that mineral only, but it's not a very important base any longer. Best gonna dive in here on the 4th, dropping zealots on top of these very exposed tanks, and the mine connections there dealing a lot of damage. Not killing off that many SCVs, but destroying a lot of these tanks. He's dropped down in supply by quite a bit, however, and Light is wasting no time just jumping on these bases. He's gonna kill 2 bases at the same time. Great storms there. Oh my goodness. So many SCVs just went down, Shun. This is getting insane.
Yeah, that's pretty wild stuff. And this CC is also at threat of being sniped off. This is really looking suboptimal. We do have a bit of counterattack from Light, taking out maybe 2 bases at once at the 12 o'clock positions, but I don't know. I mean, Best is still hammering on the gates at the same time. If he can kill this CC, it would be huge. He's not actually able to do that. There's so much army just in the main base of Best, unable to do anything right now. Very weird game state to be in. Maybe he's just waiting for a few rounds of macro out of these gateways on the 3 o'clock so that he can kind of get units coming from 2 sides rather than just running out into a bottlenecked kill zone in his natural expansion. He doesn't know exactly where the formations of tanks and Light's army are right now. They're actually running all the way down back to the center and maybe putting a siege onto 3 o'clock now.
Oh, Best needs to move. He's picking up a bunch of units. He brought 3 shuttles from bottom, from the bottom side, from this counter attack all the way over to the main base to pick up a bunch of units and start to get out. He's being a bit slow in breaking out of his natural. And Light is already on top of him. He's bearing down on this this base and potentially going to take that out soon. 1 tank kills the base over there in the top right-hand corner, and now Best is going to start to break out, but I feel like it's maybe a little bit too late. Light is already on top of this. He's set up. He's ready to go. Let's see how this trade goes with the shuttles, though. Are these reinforcement units coming from this secondary rally point going to be enough to break through on their own, dropping on top of these tanks? He's going to hit the front line, but most of everything just dies. He's not going to combine these two armies. He's actually going to fight one army at a time. If he had combined these forces from the main with those forces that came out to defend the natural, he might have been able to break that, but instead he's going to use these forces on a counterattack, and I think that Light's going to clean up both of them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what's going to happen in this game right now, saying honestly. Like, I think this is actually kind of a hard one to call. Light doesn't seem too proactive in the siege at 3 o'clock, so Best is kind of getting away with murder right now. I think that Light should be able to close this game out, but I don't know, like, he's being a little bit slow about forcing the issue at 3 o'clock. Maybe there's just barely enough time for Best to stabilize it. I don't know for sure. I think that Light should have this, but he's being a little bit hesitant to close out the game.
Dude, I really feel that Best messed up with that last attack. If he had waited for his army, if he busted out of his natural a little bit faster, got out onto the map and utilized that army in a flanking maneuver as the other army was coming in from the secondary rally point, that army that we saw get annihilated, combined with this army, he might have actually been able to destroy everything and kind of reset the game state a little bit. But Light is locked down. He's got a great position outside this natural, and he's killed this Nexus up on the high ground. He has a fresh base to work with, and he is just rocketing up in supply, whereas Best is still supply blocked.
This is almost pure Zealot as well. There's hardly any Dragoons in this army, and so really he's hoping to catch the army out of position, but with Light set up correctly like this, it's actually really hard for this army to do anything. This is the army that's good at catching you with your pants down, not an army that's good at just bowling over a formation that's already like there just waiting and ready and the Zealots to scream. So this is kind of a weird situation, because if Light doesn't make a mistake here, there's no real easy option of attack for Best. If he like slowly whittles Best down to a nub and like gives him a death by 1,000 cuts, it might just be the most like genius way of winning this game, because if he makes a mistake and like tries to move all at once and gets caught with his pants down, then this army can actually beat him. But the only way it can't beat him is if he plays the way he's been playing.
Light's gonna take over this high ground just over the secondary rally point of Best. A drop coming in. He's trying to get some storm damage going. He's trying to get something to bring himself back in this game. Does he have one more storm? No, he does not. Some SCVs do end up going down, but Light is near max, and he's planning to take another base down here. Light just continuing to expand. He's even got another CC in the main, potentially to float out and take what, the base over in front of Best's natural, or in front of Best's base instead of Right? Is he really gonna go that far?
It's a replacement CC in case he loses one. It's an insurance CC.
Oh my goodness. Light is just locking this game down. I don't know if Best can take a reasonable fight at this point. The upgrades are there. The science vessel coming in is the cherry on top, man. If he gets a EMP on those Templar in the main, that has gotta be it. There's just nothing you can do with your army at that point.
But usually you have a high ground rather than a low ground to storm from, so it's actually more awkward to defend than usual on this map. It's actually way easier for Terran to take these rally point bases out, so doesn't have the luxury of just storming from the high ground either. Has such a back row of tanks to attack into. We'll have the high to low ground transition to work with, but look, if there's Zealots in position, with the Vultures and tanks in position, you can't really get any of the Zealots like that. That's the problem, is that they'll eventually lose out on the fight. So no, there's no way of this army really winning, unfortunately, for Best, unless somehow Light was out of position with his army, and he wasn't. So there's no real hope of Best winning unless he can somehow keep remaxing out faster than Light can, and Light has such a powerful engine with these expansions that that's not going to transpire.
Well, I thought we were going to see the end of the game right there, but here it is with a bit of an anticlimactic ending. Best taps out, and Terran takes this week away. Light Daddy Terran player getting the clapper from KCM. Gets the clapper from those of you at home as well, I'm sure. Absolutely impressive. And he gives us the Terran versus Zerg final that we were looking for, that we were hoping for.
Yeah, I know there's some Protoss players that are salty right now, but try and look at it like this. Like, a PvZ finals might have been a little bit one-sided with how Protoss have played recently, so maybe this is for the best, okay? You guys can come back strong next season and just let there be an explosive Terran versus Zerg finals that we all probably were deep down hoping for. I know most people probably were, at least. I know some people are going to be salty about the results, but just look at it from this point of view. You're probably not going to see a disappointing finals as a result now, at least.
I can't imagine anyone being upset about Protoss and their performance this week. That was some very impressive Protoss play we saw out of Tyson, Motive, Best. Everybody putting up some good games, really. Aside from Speed and Royal. Those are the only standouts that we can see here. I mean, I don't want to hate on them. I'm obviously a big Speed fan, but I think that Protoss should be happy with this, with the results of this semi-final. Even though they don't get the win, we still got some amazing games.
Yeah,
we got a great result. Finals, TVZ, really looking forward to it, Shun. It's gonna be a blast. I think we can end right here. You have anything last to say?
Not really. I'm super excited. I mean, I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't get to see the decider of, like, you know, the semi, who would get to play. I'm sure they did that based on points or something. We don't know. We haven't got a translator. Hopefully one of you guys can help us out with the translations at some point. It would pay dividends to have a little bit of an insider view of what's going on with the translator's help, but it is what it is for the time being. I hope you guys enjoyed this semi-finals, and we look forward to casting the grand finals with you guys soon. Hope you guys have a lovely weekend. Peace.